अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय श्रीगौरप्रियमूर्तये श्रीमते भक्तिवल्लभा तीर्थगोस्वामिने नमः। पतितपावन परम करुणामय परमाराध्यतम श्रील गुरुदेव नित्य लीला प्रविष्टो विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद श्रील भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज जी के श्रीपाद पद्म में असंख्य कोटि साष्टांग दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उनकी अहेतु की कृपा प्रार्थना करता हूँ। For the last couple of days we have been discussing about the glories of the holy name. This is one of the most important subject which we all need to understand. We may hear so many pastimes, so many qualities of the Lord, or the beauty of the Lord, about the form of the Lord. But if we don't develop the taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, everything will go in vain. We can understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he says in the first verse of Shikshashtakam, Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. Everything starts with the cleansing of our heart. If the heart is not cleansed, nothing is going to follow. We have to understand this very well. And how the heart will be cleansed? Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. The Sankirtan, the holy name of the Lord, is to be glorified. Through the holy name, we can cleanse our heart. When the heart is cleansed properly, then the Lord will make room for Himself. Then the Lord will make the room for Himself in that heart. Now it's heart which is dirty, contaminated, polluted. What we have to do is to purify our heart. Heart needs to be purified. If the heart is not purified, there is no possibility of the Lord to come and reside in it. We have already discussed about how Kulashekar Alvar, a very great devotee of southern India, he has glorified, saying to his own mind, he is advising his own mind, that why you go here and there? What is the point that you run here and there? When you have the most potential medicine in front of you, that is the chanting of the holy name, you are running behind all other kinds of medicines for the disease you have. What is the disease? The disease is to enjoy this material world. And because of the desire, what is happening? You are suffering between the dualities. What is that? Sankalpa and Vikalpa. Like forming ideas and then dissolving ideas. Between this Sankalpa and Vikalpa, we are struggling very hard. We are struggling very hard. when there is two, when there are two, then there is difficulty, there is disagreement, there is argument, or there is ego, because there are two persons, two things, so two different ideologies. So sankalpa is totally opposite from vikalpa. So one person who is unable to decide whether to make sankalpa or to make vikalpa, in that case, it's a big problem. It is really a very big problem. And also, Kulashekar Alvar, he says, mind is such a strange thing with whom I can compare the mind. Whether to compare it with a snake, monkey, or a scorpion, what? I am unable to understand. Means it is much worse than even such kind of most lowest animals. Also, we can understand how Arjuna, he was praying to the Lord, saying, if you want me to control air, I can just do it very easily. But for me, it's very difficult to control my mind. Then the Lord is advising Arjuna that if you can practice, if you can have practice, and also if you can develop renunciation, then naturally the mind will be in your control. We have discussed about this yesterday, that how we can have, we can practice. Practice means what? Practice in chanting the holy name. How to practice? Controlling the mind and then practicing. We have discussed it already. And now what it is said, so what it is said, O mind, what is the mind? Mind is our worst enemy. He says that mind, to the mind, if you are engaged in this world and worldly activities, and you will be the enemy of the soul, of the spirit. And then if the mind is engaged in the service of the Lord, and then the mind is the best friend of those people, those who constantly remember the Supreme Lord. So it's about the mind, that what it is said, when the mind is engaged in the transitory things, in the worldly things, it's quite natural that the mind will be our enemy. At the same time, on the other hand, if the mind is engaged in the constant remembrance of the Lord, then the mind is the best friend. So we have to understand what, and we have to thank those pure souls who come and teach us, who come and give us the best medicine, so that our mind will not be wandering here and there, becoming maddened and restless. Being maddened and restless, our mind should not run here and there. For that, we have to follow, we have to respect, and we have to accept the teachings given by the great souls in the form of chanting the holy name. The divine name is the most powerful remedy for delivering one from the the influence of ignorance, the influence of infatuation and ignorance. So we have to, what it said, the divine name is most powerful remedy. It's a remedy, it's a solution, it's everything. The divine name, the holy name of the Lord. For what? In delivering one, means the person, from the influences of infatuations. Many times we fall in some infatuations, and the influence of these infatuations are very, very strange. They make a very strange impact on our consciousness, and then as a result we start to make so many strange things in our life. And also being ignorant, because we are ignorant. Being ignorant means what? Lack of knowledge is ignorance. Absence of knowledge is ignorance. So like, what is darkness? Absence of light. Absence of light is darkness. In the same way, absence of knowledge is ignorance. So as the sun rises, darkness will disappear. In the same way, as the knowledge rises, immediately our ignorance is also destroyed. So it's a natural thing. Those who are averse from the Supreme Lord, they remain in ignorance. Because Krishna Surya Sam Maya Andhakar, Krishna is like sun and Maya is like darkness. So when a person goes into the dark, and then if the person starts to cry that I am in the dark, then doesn't make sense. What we need to do is we have to pray to the Lord, then the Lord will arise. We have to wait for His mercy, beg for His mercy, and when our prayers are heard by Him, the next moment He will manifest and then help us, pull us out from ignorance. As a result of ignorance, what the person is, where the person is now, he has, as a result of ignorance, the person develops misconceptions about self. Misconception of self is one of the main thing which comes in the person, which becomes more prominent in the person. As the misconception of self is becoming deeper, the person slowly becomes more and more ignorant. His ignorance will be like very deeply rooted in his heart, and he goes into that extent where there is hardly any possibility to come out of it. So every soul who has forgotten the Supreme Lord is under the spell of this enemy called ignorance. If we forget ourselves, our relation with the Supreme Lord, it's quite natural that we will be under the spell of this enemy. The enemy is waiting next to us. The moment we turn our face away from the Lord, this enemy will catch us. Once the enemy will catch us, and the next moment we won't be able to turn our face towards the Lord. That's one of the interesting things we have to understand, because ignorance is also part of Lord's creation only. So whatever is from the Lord, is by the Lord, everything is very powerful. We can see how the nuclear energy works. It can destroy so many things. So in the same way, when this nuclear energy is awakened, then it can destroy big cities. And also we can see the very small spark, even it is in fact invisible by this naked eye. 10,000 part of the tip of the hair is its size. But because of His presence in the body is actively functioning, surviving, remaining fresh, everything is happening. The moment this person who is in size 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, immediately the body becomes dead. We can understand. It's all Lord's creation. So illusion, Maya, everything is the creation of the Lord. As we turn our face away from the Lord, the next moment Maya is on the other side, it will catch the person. The moment the person comes into the trap of Maya, he will fall in ignorance. When the person turns towards the Lord, then he will become knowledgeable. Yasmin gyate sarvamidam tushtam, sarvamidam gyatam bhavati. By knowing the Lord, you have known everything. You don't need to remain for anything else. You don't need to wait for anything else to be known once you know the Lord, because you will attain complete knowledge, perfection in knowledge. He on this side. In the same way, opposite to it, the moment we turn our face away from the Lord, we are enveloped by ignorance. And the impact of this ignorance becomes so strong and so deep that now we are unable to understand anything happening around us. So that's what is being said here. Having fallen a prey to this, the unfortunate soul identifies itself with the material body and its surrounding relations. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Bhuliya tumhare sansare asiya, pei nana vida vyatha. I have forgotten you and my relation with you. So as a result, I have come into this material world. And not only that, I have come into this material world. What is happening now? Pei nana vida vyatha. Now I am reaping different kinds of miseries. Tomar charne asiya chiyami bolibo dukher katha. I have come to your lotus feet only to tell my most miserable story. Life has become completely miserable. So I just want to explain you my condition. Janani jathare chilam yakon visham bandhan pash. I was like bound like this when I was in the womb of my mother. And then I am unable to move. I could do nothing. I was inside. My head is on the down. My head, I was in this kind of position, like Uttan path. Head is on the down and feet in upper side, like this. And I was in a very small tight place, like completely in a very tight place. What you have done, Ekabar Prabhu dekho diya more, vanchile yedin dase. You have given me your divine darshan. And then I was cheated. because after that you disappeared. Why the Lord has to appear in the womb of the mother to give darshan to that soul who has entered into that body? Just only to remind that fellow that actually what will be the real purpose? What is the purpose of you taking birth? The real purpose is to surrender to me. If you want yourself to be rescued, and if you don't want to come again in this body, if you don't want to take birth again, then you should understand that you have to surrender to me. When the Lord inspires the spirit which he enters into the womb of the mother, the spirit decides, the soul inside, who is going to be born now, decides what তখন ভাবিনু জনম হইয়া করিব ভজন জনম পাইয়া করিব ভজন তবা. Once I will come out of this body, the only thing I'll be doing is doing bhajan. I don't want to do anything else. But जनक जननी स्नेहित भूलिया संसार लागिल भाल. What happened now? Because I was with my parents, and the way they are pampering me, padding me, showing love to me, all these things made me completely forget everything. And now the world appears to be very tasty, very nice, wonderful. Worldly relations, everything. And interesting is, in this current world, in this transitory world, no relations remains constant. Occasionally when we come together, it's so wonderful exchange between each other, so much of love, so much of friendship, so much of feeling, concern, possessiveness, everything. But as we come close together, we sit together, immediately the relation is broken. Immediately everything is broken, completely spoiled. Nothing remains after that. That is the speciality. What is the use of such world? What is the use of such relations in this world? Occasionally we may not exchange, we may not have regular interactions or anything, but if we can have truthfulness, and if we can really think about the spiritual welfare of each other, that would be the best way to maintain the relation. If not, relations they all are completely useless. But being ignorant, being very ignorant, what happens? The soul, being very ignorant, the soul starts to identify Adarer chele swajaner kole hasiya katanu kaal. So nice child. All these so-called relatives with this, with the relation with this body, they all try to come and then pamper, and then they show so much of love. Adarer chele swajaner kole. In front of all these people, in front of all the relatives, this boy, he is jumping, walking, playing, and then everyone is showing their love and laughing, playing with them. Katanu kal, I spent all my time, because now this fellow, this person is identifying himself to be part of that family. Part of that family. So what he is doing, that this body, this material body is me, and this was given by these parents, this family. I have to think about them, and the relations around, We can't just give up this social life. People, they speak so many things like this in this world, but interesting is, when you think this much, you should have the shame. You should not be thankless. We should feel that shame that the Lord is bestowing me so many bodies since time immemorial, since the time I am averse from Him. Since the time I don't want to surrender to Him, I don't want to serve Him, as many births I have been taking, the Lord is the one who is bestowing me all those bodies. And also I am the part of the Lord's creation. I am a very insignificant particle which came out from the marginal potency of the Lord. So my job is to surrender to Him. My job is to love Him. My job is to serve Him. My job is to adore Him. My job is to live for Him. My job is to die for Him. My job is only this. I have nothing else to do other than making all the possible efforts only to satisfy the Lord, only to give pleasure to Him. When I am more concerned about those people, those with whom I have the relation, and which is momentary relation, not the permanent relation, because it's a transitory world. It's not my permanent place. It's not the place where I have to live permanently. So when during my journey, when I meet with some people, I care for them, I feel concern for them, I become possessive for them, the one who has given me the real life. What should be my responsibility? Every individual has to sit and think about it. Then only they can understand that the purpose of this human form of life will be attained only when we surrender in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, when we take absolute shelter on His lotus feet. If not, it's not possible. What happens? It forgets its real nature and its original relation with all merciful Lord, the soul of all the souls. Now as a result, this person, he forgets. What he forgets? Its real nature. True nature is now forgotten. True nature is forgotten. What is my true nature? That I am the servant of the Lord, eternal servant of the Lord. And its original relation is also forgotten. We haven't forgotten the relation, but we have forgotten our real relation. These days people in this world, they have a very strange tendency of making so many new relations. Whatever relations are already existing, it would be wonderful if a person can survive those relations. Instead of surviving those relations, instead of taking care of those relations, people, they like to get into some other kinds of relations, and which eventually spoils the family and the life, everything. In the same way, the spirit soul also identifies itself with all those material relations, but never try to understand that all these relations are not going to remain with me in the entire journey. How these relations work? It is said, Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata. Only the intelligent person can understand this. That's why he doesn't repent for anything which is coming to him in this transitory world. But a conditioned soul does not. Conditioned soul does not. He just starts to cry, starts to beat his chest and cry, be like a crazy person. How it happens that you are on your journey, you are walking on your path. Now what happens? Avyaktadini bhutani. All those other relations, entities, whatsoever is there, which was never seen before, Vyakta Madhyani Bharata, in the middle they appear again. And again those same people, Avyakta Nidananyeva, immediately after some time among them, again they will disappear. So you are going like this, some come join you again, some leave you again, some join you again, some leave you. This joining and leaving kind of thing, of course, at the same time there is a possibility that we may join other people and again we may leave from them. In this way, each and every individual is coming in contact with some people and again leaves their company, again come in contact with some other people. This kind of transactions are keep on going on in the entire world, in the infinite galaxies. But they don't understand, they understand that actually all these relations are non-eternal, all these relations are momentary. They are not going to remain forever. They are not going to remain forever. So when I try to get into these relations, ultimately my life is going to be miserable, but I am not going to get anything which is fruitful, which is useful for me. So what it does? He forgets his original relation with all merciful Lord. He is very merciful. The Lord is all merciful. That's why the pure devotees of the Lord, those who surrender to His lotus feet, they also get the quality of the Lord. That's why pure devotees are also merciful. He is merciful Lord and the devotees are merciful monks. That is the speciality. That's why all our acharyas coming in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they all are the merciful monks. So, because Lord is merciful Lord. So what it is said, the relation with the Spirit is the real relation, eternal relation, which the Jiva has with the Supreme Lord. Lord, who is the Lord? The soul of all the souls. Jivaner Jivan. He is the soul, He is the life of all other souls. If the Lord is absent from our life, then our life becomes disaster. Life doesn't carry any meaning if the Lord is absent from our life. Because the life in the soul, the life exists only because the Lord exists. If the Lord is absent, means the life is not there. It is matter, it is dead. So, if someone takes up the constant chanting of the holy name, if someone takes up the constant chanting of the holy name, he becomes eligible for the grace of the Lord. Like that. So what it is said, if a person in this condition could take up the chanting of the holy name, mostly we can see when the time is bad, then most of the people, the first thing they give up is to chant the holy name. That's why their troubles keep on increasing. When we are in trouble, Of course, we should try to defend, we should try to act in a very defensive way, so that we just not get into those troubles, so that we don't have to face those troubles or anything else. So we need to defend, we need to fight. But the most essential thing is, even in that condition also, we have to surrender to the Lord. We have to make sure that we are constantly engaged in the remembrance of the Lord. This Mahabharata, one of the most wonderful epics of ancient Vedic India, Bharat, where it is nicely presented that everyone has some motive in the battlefield. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everyone has some motive. Someone has problem with someone, like Shikhandi, he has problem with Bhishma, because in the past Shikhandi was Amba. So Shikhandi was Amba in the past, and she takes up like a vow that she will be the reason for the death of Bhishma. But Bhishma has this benediction that he will not die as long as he desires to die. And now this lady Amba, she takes birth again and again, and finally she takes birth in the house of Maharaj Drupad, and his name, he becomes Shikhandi. And now Shikhandi, he is there in the battlefield only to fulfill his desire. Drupad is having problem with Dronacharya, and Drishtadyumna having problem with Drupad. Like that, everyone in the battlefield have some problem, some grudges for some other person. It's actually is not at all for the battle. Those who participated, other than the Pandavas, no one fought for the national benefit, for the benefit of Dharma. Everyone has their own agenda. And now among them in such a state, and who is Arjuna is also in the battlefield. He is also one among all of them. But what he is doing, he is in illusion now. He is in fact, he is in moha. He is affected by moha now. When he saw all the people, parents, uncles and brothers, everyone is there, sons, seeing everyone, he was stuck by moha. So he doesn't want to fight. The Lord inspires him to fight. Fight for what? Fight for dharma. There, the fight is not for nyaya. The fight is for dharma. The fight is not for the justice. The fight is only for dharma. That's why in the kingdom of Lord there is no room for judgment. There is no room for judgment. The only thing which is there in the kingdom of the Lord is mercy. He doesn't judge. He doesn't discriminate. The only thing he does is he gives bhakti. So what it is said, which is evidenced by once, what it is happening when the person will naturally come out of this moha. By that we can understand that actually the Lord is very merciful. The Lord is very merciful, which is our misidentification. We have this misidentification about the self. As a result of this misidentification, we fall in moha. We have fallen in moha, infatuation. When we are in moha, it's natural that we are in ignorance. An ignorant person is the person who is affected by moha. So, it is only the divine grace that can save us from this degraded condition. The world is degrading day by day, and also the people, those who are in this world, they have completely degraded. According to today's time and circumstances, we can say this with full confidence: the world has completely degraded. The world is no more in a condition that it is useful anymore for anyone in this world. We can see how the people of this current generation are falling down from moral and cultural ethics and forget about the spirituality. So who can save us? Who is the Savior? The Savior is the holy name. When we take shelter of the holy name, naturally our eye will be opened. The Lord opens our eye, by which we can naturally come out of ignorance. If not, we will remain ignorant. We will remain in illusion. We will remain useless, abandoned. So that's why it is said, it is only by the mercy of the Lord. Lord's mercy will only work. Nothing else is going to work. And the mercy of the Lord descends in the form of the spiritual master. Like that. What it is said? That's why it is said that the divine grace, Bhagavad Prasad. Prasad means blessing. Prasad means benediction. Prasad means the mercy of the Lord. So Bhagavad Prasad means the mercy of the Lord. The merciful form of the Lord manifests in front of the Spirit in the form of a spiritual master. So only the holy name which comes out from the lotus lips of the spiritual master, a pure devotee, will have the potential to cut down the knots and make the person completely free from all kinds of contaminations and awaken his true nature. That is what we have to understand. That's why Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna, he says, Nasto moho smritir labdva. Nasto moho. Moha means illusion. Nasto is completely gone now. It is not remaining anymore now. Smritir labdva. Labdva means to get. Smriti means what it is said. That memory. Sorry. Technology is also very interesting. It itself is an interruption many times. So something was just ringing. What it is said, Achyuta. Achyuta is referring to the Lord. O Achyuta, Nasto moho smritir labdva. I gained my memory, my consciousness is now awakened. How? Tat prasadan, by your mercy, through your mercy. Before your mercy, what happened? I was in illusion. That's why I doesn't want to fight. But now, because of your teachings, because of the doctrines you have given to me, what happened? My moha is now disappeared completely. I am no more in moha. and now my consciousness is awakened. I'm completely awakened now. In this way, that's why we have to understand only the mercy of the Lord helps the person awaken. Nothing else can awaken the person from the state of illusion. It helps the steady concentration of the mind on the absolute Godhead by totally destroying mind's all evil propensities. What helps? The divine grace of the Lord helps. The divine grace of the Lord helps. How it helps? It helps the mind to concentrate. It helps the mind to be steady completely. As we have discussed, mind is so restless and maddened because he is in illusion. And now what happens is the person becomes like rock steady. How this steadiness comes? By the divine grace of the Lord. Rock steady on the absolute Godhead. So when the mind, it gets fixed in the lotus feet of the Lord and becomes completely steady, rock steady. How? Destroying all the evil propensities. As we have discussed earlier about the misconception, when there is misconception of self, it's natural that the person will have the tendency of committing mistakes. There will be this tendency of committing mistakes. He can't avoid it. It can't be avoided because the first thing he has is driving the soul, is driving the spirit towards the destruction. Misconception of self is the cause of destruction. Whenever we will have some misconception in our life, we should understand that we are driving ourselves towards self-destruction. Misconception of self leads to desire for getting all the non-eternal objects, which is called as asat trishna. Asat means non-eternal, trishna means that anchoring, that hankering for all these non-eternal things. Because whatever is eternal, and when an eternal spirit attains something which is eternal, then it's natural that it will not anchor for anything else. But as spirit, it's eternal. As spirit, it is knowledgeable. As spirit, it is blissful. It's made of Sachidananda. And then it has the nature of desire. When Sachidananda starts to desire, it's natural that it desires whatever is Sachidananda only. But being enveloped by the material energy of the Lord, when we desire everything, all those things which are non-eternal, because we have misconception of self. So self has some demand, but because of the misconception, the demand is now perverted and it becomes polluted. And now it starts to desire things which are non-eternal, assuming those things to be eternal. As a result, when the spirit is unable to fulfill its desires, then the heart starts to become weak, known as hriddaurbalya. Person starts to become weak. Weakness of heart is coming. Weakness of heart in the sense, it's like weakness of mind we have to understand. Heart means not the heart that which is inside the body. People may think that person will have some heart attack or some maybe some blockage problems or other things. That they are physical, they are gross. But here what is narrated is the problem which is subtle. So subtle problem generally occurs in the mind only. So weakness of the heart refers to the weakness of mind, hrid daurbalya. Why? He wants to satisfy, he wants to be happy, but unfortunately he can't. Why? Because where he is searching that happiness, that actually does not exist in those things. So as a result, that mind becomes more and more weak. So as he finds himself losing, he starts to become crazy. That's what we have just tried to understand in the past, that the mind becomes maddened and restless. Why the mind becomes restless? Because whatever the mind desires, it is actually not giving any kind of permanent solution or pleasure to the spirit. So mind feels itself to be completely dejected and becomes weak. We can easily understand, like someone doesn't want to encourage you, or someone always try to backbite you, or someone disgraces your honor, then it's quite natural that you won't be able to take it in your life. That's nature. Now mind is also becoming restless, more and more restless. As a result, it starts to commit blunders. Most revered Srila Gurudev would often use this word, Himalayan blunder. So after this, what it does? Aprad. Aprad means offense. What kind of offense? Blunder offenses. So that's why we have to understand what it does. All these evil propensities, means all these ideologies of the soul, of the mind to be happy, will be completely destroyed when the divine grace of the Lord descends in our life. That's why we should understand the Lord is merciful on us. How we understand that the Lord is merciful on us? He is very merciful. Only by understanding, only by having this, only by receiving the mercy of a pure devotee, we can understand that the Lord is merciful on us. That the Lord's mercy has descended in our life, this can be easily understood only when we see that a pure devotee has entered in our life. When we have received the mercy of Sri Guru, we should understand that the Lord's mercy has finally descended on me. That is the speciality. And it's a marvelous medicine to do away with all the opposing factors, external and internal. What is the marvelous medicine? The holy name of the Lord is the marvelous medicine. And what it does, it helps the person to fight with whatever is external or internal. So in our spiritual practice, we are struggling, we struggle every day. Every day we struggle in our spiritual practice. What? With all the obstacles everywhere. Wherever we go, these obstacles, they always follow us. These hindrances, they always follow us. So we remain restless all the time. Especially when we are in the spiritual path. Spiritual path means what? If I have taken up the spiritual life, if I have taken up the spiritual path, which means I am openly challenging the external potency of the Lord. Even though the external potency of the Lord Mahamaya is non-different from Yogamaya. So that's why if a person is very sincere, she bestows her benedictions to the person so that he can upgrade himself, he can uplift himself in the path of spirituality, and finally he could reach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. But being so conditioned, what happens? That the person struggles too hard from within, from without, both. So this holy name is so merciful, is so marvelous, that it helps the person to face the challenges in each and every phases of life, whether it is from within or from whether it is internal or external, whatsoever kind of problem is. Means it can be adhyatmik tap, miseries caused by one's own body and mind, or maybe adi bhautik tap, miseries caused by any other living entities around us. Whatsoever it is, the person will be completely relieved. Or maybe the misery is caused by the nature, whatsoever it is, everything will be relieved completely. That's why it is said, Kleshagni Shubhada. If a person starts to chant the holy name, Shubhada means auspiciousness. Everything auspicious will happen to him, and at the same time Kleshagni means pacified. What is pacified? All those threefold miseries are pacified. That is the speciality, that is the glory of the holy name. We shall continue to discuss this tomorrow again, and thank you very much. See you all again. Jai Radhe Shyam.